Hey y'all and everyone, welcome to my walkthrough of Absolver. Absolver is a very specific game. Basically, it's a 3D open world fighting game. And it does a lot of things right, it does a lot of things wrong. It's on PS4 and PC via Steam for $30. Free on PlayStation 4 if you have PlayStation Plus, but you need PlayStation Plus to play it anyway. Will you get your money's worth? I think so. When I first played this game, I'm like, I wouldn't exactly pay $30 for it, but it is fun. It does have a very complex combat system, something that I appreciate in these type of games, especially considering that it was an indie game. This was developed by a studio called Slowclap and published by Devolver Digital. Is that the name, Devolver Digital? I think they also published Alright, first things first. This is my character, Rosebud. I've already have two characters, but I made this one specifically for the playthrough. And right now, I'm already customizing my equipment. The equipment that has a blue background is something that you get from your school. I've made a school specifically for this playthrough, just so I won't have to build a deck and, just blaze through the playthrough, because all I'm really going to do is show you where to fight these bosses. And because you learn skills independently of how you play the game, you're not going to have my skills, especially if you picked a different class. The class I've chosen is Forsaken for this character. I personally prefer, was it Khalid? I don't know, but that's my favorite class. The jacket and the pants, was there something else? I forget. The jacket and the pants are something you automatically get, I think only if you have the PS4 version. I forget why, but yeah. And later on, you're going to see that stats, strength, and dexterity are your main damage stats, but there's also mobility. Mobility is something that increases the lesser equipped load you have, and that's why this character, it will usually be at least over 24 or 25 mobility, and we'll get into stats later. But for now, tutorial. Lock on, the most basic thing you can do in a 3D fighting game, or whatever. Attack sequences. We're gonna get in a lot more depth in this, because this combat system, I wouldn't exactly call it complicated, but it is very complex. There's a lot of pieces and things that you need to stick together. Right now it's showing you that there are 4 stances. Up right, up left, down right, and down left, and you can change which stance you're in by holding R2 and then moving the right stick. And that's gonna get you in trouble a lot, because sometimes I don't fully press R2 and I do something different and it really messes me up. And right here I'm demonstrating that in these stances there are different attacks you can do. Square is your basic attacks, and triangle are your alternate attacks. And alternate attacks are basically, you're in one stance, you press the alternate attack, you go into another stance, and that's how you chain combos or attack strings together. That's something that you really need to learn how to do in this game, because I wouldn't exactly call it difficult, but it's not something that you can just button spam to, unless you're in PvP and somebody doesn't know what they're doing, but whatever. Feint. I honestly think feinting is pretty useless, but whatever. Dodging. Each class has a specific way to dodge or parry, like a different defensive system. Forsaken, what you do is you block an attack, either from the left or from the right, and it stops the opponent and you can counterattack. Windfall, I believe, all they do is dodge attacks, but when you dodge an attack, the enemy slows down and you can counterattack. Then Khalid, my favorite one. It's probably, or seemingly, the most useless, Like, all you do is absorb the attack, and you don't really counter because the person doesn't lose their momentum, and it's very easy to just get hit again after you counter. Further along, you still take full damage of that attack, regardless if you absorbed it or not, and to a lot of people that can be very counterintuitive. And when we're past this tutorial stage, I'll change my combat deck, or I'll change my attack sequences to what I have on my main character, as I said earlier, because you're not going to have the same attacks as me anyway, so I might as well just use mine. And if you want to use the combat deck I use for this playthrough, you can just join my school. And I can't say for sure if it'll be the exact same further down the future or this playthrough, but it will at least be very similar. If I change it, it's going to be an improvement and not to be too much different than the combat style I have now. But now our attack strings are very basic, and I'll explain that more. But right now we have this mini boss, Sealan, and I beat this game like 3 times already, and I just noticed this man's name is Sealan. I don't know how important it is, but it's kind of important, and I never really got into the lore of this game. Like, unlike Dark Souls and Salt and Sanctuary, where the lore is graspable, this doesn't really, I don't know, it feels like Absolver feels like you have all the ingredients to make the best cake in the world, but it just what do they call it, culinary artist, I don't know, the baker just didn't bake it. He just gives you all the ingredients and say, this is the cake. Like, what? No, this could be the best cake in the world, but this isn't a cake. You have what? But this guy, I am Talon. I will try to help you as you progress, but if you lose yourself to the fold, I won't be able to save you. Those who wear the mask are not all your enemies, you know. I will not attack you. When you are safe, you can enter meditation and practice your combat deck. There's no dialogue in this game besides like gibberish and stuff, but yeah, it's an indie studio. What you gonna do? You can honestly just run past these guys if you want, but I'm like, why not? Let's bust some heads real quick. They seem to have the exact same attack strings, and but like the tutorial area is not that difficult, and if it is difficult to you, then don't feel bad about it, but understand that the game's gonna get worse. Not too much worse, not freaking Bloodborne levels of worse, but just worse. And for what it is, this game is pretty good looking. So, yeah. I look forward to this playthrough. That's thumbnail potential right there. Now, to this game's credit, for being an indie studio, like, the graphics, they're not Monster Hunter World's good, but they're good enough. Like, they're, I forgot what they call it. Is it cel shaded? I'm not entirely sure, but the graphic fidelity is pretty decent, and the only real problem I have with this game in terms of, well, graphics is like the level design itself. It's not the best thing in the world. Like, this tower specifically, it's a very good vantage point to understand where you exactly are in the game, because the overworld is very confusing for the simple fact that like nothing really stands out. And I'm going to show you the or demonstrate the combat system real quick. I was just in the Forsaken stance, but now combat style. I was just in the Forsaken combat style, and now I'm showing you, dang, how do you pronounce that? Faejin. A combat style very much inspired by the late Bruce Lee, and that's cool. That's really cool. Right now I'm demonstrating my combat deck, and with the I forgot the name of the weapon, but with these gloves, I have more of the new attacks that just came out with the Downfall update. I think it's 1.25 or 25, and the defense system for the Faejin. It's a counter, and I don't know what the footstool does, but you do all this with the right stick when you're locked onto your opponent. And we're gonna get into swords later because I didn't. Not to say I didn't focus on it, but that's not the focus now. To become an Absolver, you have to prove your worth and defeat Rizran in the Hanging Gardens of the Tower of Adele. But first, you must beat Koretz in the Colosseum, kill Nor and her brother Cargill in the old birdhouse, and the 6 Mark Ones roaming the city and the forest. Only then will the stone gate of the Imperial Tower open. Its headstone will show your remaining targets. Beware of these foes, they will not be defeated easily. And this is the map to the entire game. You're gonna have to keep a mental note of this because, like I said, the level design isn't the greatest thing in the world, and you're gonna have to use this tower as a vantage point. But that's it for now. And in the next episode, we'll be traveling, what is it, east? Or we're gonna get stuff done, and I'll see you guys then.